Hello guys, my name is Corey and I am making this video today to address some issues that are causing confusion with the 2D roguelike Unity tutorial, specifically the animations video. Simply to describe the issue, what the tutorial offers you to do is create a new game object, name it player, you go over to your sprites folder, you select the animation for the idle animation frames, and you drag them to the player. Now, in the video, what happens here is a pop-up happens that allows you to save your animation to a different folder. That no longer happens with the most recent patch of Unity. Now a default animation is created here in the same folder that the sprite sheets exist, and also a default animator controller is created as well. The annotation in the original videos offers the solution to this issue to just drag and drop these to their corresponding folder and rename this accordingly player idle, and then obviously drag this one into the animations folder. So you now have the setup that you would have had you were given that save prompt. The issue I have with this is that the default naming scheme is still here in the animator controller. So another step you have to then take is come up here so that you don't get confused and match this with the motion, the player idle. So then you get this. When you do it 3 times, you end up with 3 of the default states, and they can get kind of cumbersome to change because you don't know which one is which. So to solve this issue, I really wanted to figure out what was Unity doing behind the scenes. So I'm just going to reset all of my my thing here so we can be at a place from scratch, and I'll just reset the default layout, and this is what we're basically looking at. Let me unpause here, that's weird. So first thing, I'm going to continue and make the new game object. We're going to call it player, but instead of dragging and dropping from the sprite sheet, we're going to take a little extra setup. We're going to go here and we're going to get a miscellaneous and the animator component. Now this is added automatically by Unity when you drag the frames onto the player. Another thing that's done automatically is a frame controller is created for this animator that uses the same name as the game object. That was the player animator controller we saw before. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to our animator controller folder, and we are going to create an animator controller, and we're going to call it player. Now we can take this and drag it onto the player in our hierarchy, and we will see now that the controller is set to the player. That was done automatically for us. We had to take those steps to make sure that the next steps make sense. So to begin, we want to open up our animation window, which is available from Command 6 on the Mac or Control 6 on Windows. When you open that up, it'll go into its own window. I'm just going to dock this with the game section. And here, once you select the player, since we have a controller set to the player, we now have an animatable object. So we can create a new clip here, and then we can select the folder we want to go to and what we want to call it. So player idle. Now, in order to get the frames into it, we can now drag the scavenger, the player idle frames into here. What you will notice is that it plays very fast. When you create the frame animation, dragging and dropping on the player, it creates a default sample of 12, but when you specify it here, it uses 60 frames per second. So just change it to 12, and you end up with your good default animation. Now, you can continue to do the tutorial as stated, where you would come over, you would change in your animator the speed to 0.5, and that will allow you to play the game and you get the good looking things. Now the next step is when you want to make additional animations. For that, you would come over to your animation window and you would select this drop down here and select create new clip. Now this tells us where we want to make new animations, so we select the animations folder, and now we're going to make the player cut animation. With that selected, we select our sprites, find the player cut frames, drag them here, change the samples to 12. Again, create new clip, and now we're making the player hit animation. Select the player hit frames, drag them here, samples 12, and we are good. Everything is done. The player animations are all set up. If you go back to the animator, you'll see that all the default names were saved. And you didn't have to change anything, no changing files. So I think this is the way that it should have been taught. This goes over all the steps that are involved rather than taking shortcuts and letting Unity do things for you magically, that when the magic that Unity does for you changes, you don't know what is happening, and you end up having to go to the YouTube comments and saying, help me, I don't know what happened. So this is kind of a step-by-step, exactly what Unity is doing for you. Don't let Unity do any of the magic, and you can see that it results in the same output, but you have greater control over what was going on. Why would Unity do these changes? Well, the reason is this allows for very quick creating of sprites here. You can see we got a player, we got a zombie dude. We're going to get rid of this player. He's on the same Z with the camera, so you can't see him in the scene view, but if you play this, you now have your two sprites up and running very easily. You can do this with all sorts of different sprite sheets if you want to make them really quickly. So it really allowed you to quickly implement the sprites rather than having to stop and save and stop and save. The only issue is that obviously it clutters your sprites folder. So we would then just drag all of this into the animations save. And that's it. I hope you enjoy this video. It's my first tutorial video I'm ever making, and I don't know if there might be more, who knows. So thank you for watching.